What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of VHS Graveyard. It's been a while. We're not going to lie, but we're back again to talk about all kinds of whatever comes to mind. I was just commenting on your collection of figures you got back there, and we were just kind of both talking about how we both agree that Ghostface from Scream is not a worthy, compatriot or compadre for the rest of those guys. And we were both saying how, like, Pinhead should have been in there. Why do you think they chose Scream or Ghostface?
Well, I think because these are the Spencer's figures that were exclusively sold in the store in the mall. Remember when people used to go to malls? For some reason, I think Scream and Ghostface made on that cut is because it was the most relevant horror movie at the time. I think it was probably the most recent big horror movie at the time, because I think this was the late 90s when these came out. But as far as these guys go, they're all like monsters, and they all have powers or in some way. And Ghostface is just like a teenager killer guy.
Yeah.
Like, I love Scream. I love the first one. It's a fucking pinnacle of horror in the 90s, but it's just a kid in a costume.
Yeah, like, you don't think of...
Why did they not do Pinhead?
Yeah, you don't think of Ghostface when I think of, like, the horror icons, like the sort of, like, like the second wave, because, like, I consider, like, the golden age of horror icons being like Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman type guys, and then going into, like, that age, you're thinking your Michael Myers, your Jason, your Freddy, and then your Pinhead, and even the dude from, like, Phantasm and stuff like that. And I feel like when those sort of, like, Mezco, I think that was the company, Mezco, was putting out a lot of, like, horror action figures. Like, they kind of, like, killed it. Like, they did everything. Like, they were doing the Phantasm guys. I think it might have even been McFarlane Toys. Like, there was just, they covered all the horror people, but now it's so, like, cookie cutter. Like, we got to have It, and we got to have fucking Scream, Ghostface. And I just feel like a lot of people are getting, or a lot of killers are getting looked over, and it's bullshit, because when you think about it, like with the Scream films, how many good Scream films exist out of the four? I would say one, the first one, and the rest of them.
I like the second one. I like the second one, and I like the third one's like a guilty pleasure. But the first one is, like, if you're taking it in a serious route of, like, an actual horror genre movie, the first one is a horror movie, and the rest of them are, comedies. It's funny we're talking about this because I don't know if you've gotten to hear it yet, but I'm doing another podcast with my friend Brett that actually lives here.
Due by Midnight,
doesn't watch horror movies. Yeah, Due by Midnight. And he's a normal guy, like a guy that didn't watch horror movies. He's older than you and I, though, by like 6 years, but he never grew up watching them. And we were talking about how people fucking, like, hate on sequels to horror movies, like the elitist crowd of horror movie fans, where they go on, like, Amazon and write these, like, fucking Tolkien long fucking reviews of why this movie sucks when it's at the sixth film. So it's like, I don't understand why people can take it that serious at that point. But yeah, back to the figures. Why the fuck did they not have... Yeah, I'd settle for the tall man. Pinhead should have definitely been in here when you're talking about fucking Jason and Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger. And or Ash. Replace it with fucking Ash from Evil Dead, or a fucking Chucky doll or something. Even that would have made the cut more than fucking Ghostface. But yeah, I think the reason why they made him is because he's the most relevant. I'm only missing those two. I'm missing Ghostface, and I'm missing the Crow. But I've seen both the figures. Ghostface looks cool. I don't need it. I don't need it. And the Crow, he looks really disturbingly weird as a doll. I don't think I want to own him.
And I think that kind of goes for, like, your own personal preference. Like, I don't think everything needs to be completed, like, for completion's sake. Of course, there's people that do that need to go for, like, every single thing in the run. But, like, with me personally, like, and I think I might be able to speak for you as well with this kind of thing. Like, everything isn't needed to satisfy your own collection. You know, like you want
Right.
do you want the shitty sequels of this film franchise just to have them, and you probably won't even watch them? Or same with like books or, you know, action figure shit like that. It's just, to me, it's being a completionist. No disrespect to the completionists out there, but I just think it's, you could be spending your cash on stuff that you actually want, as opposed to being like, oh, I need this really obscure fucking Burger King toy to complete my, you know, or whatever it is, you know. It's crazy to me, like, because the stuff, you know, like the shit that is you know, produced, like the least amount of them. How can I explain this? Like, they put out the least amount of Ghostface, so they're rare or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm sure that's not the case, but like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, there's a comic book like Akira. Obviously, you know Akira. In the
Right.
later issues, when they were reprinting them in color, I think it was like the last two issues. Those are like the hardest ones to find, because at that point the demand was kind of over, and they didn't even release the last couple of issues until years later. So interest kind of died out, and it's, I don't know. I just think that, I don't know
Yeah.
how the fuck that relates to my completionist rant, but either way.
It does. It makes perfect sense. I know exactly what you're talking about, because it goes for, I guess, everything that you can think of when it comes to collecting, but video games especially. And I know this from being, you know, just within the circles of collecting old video games and shit. But exactly what you're saying with late runs of everything. Like, there's the fucking greatest hits versions of games, and there could be two different versions of the greatest hit version, and they were in low run, and the game wasn't even that great, right? Or, I mean, it was kind of good if it sold a lot to get greatest hits, but there are people, though, that cannot not have it. Like, it's a sick obsession, almost. I think collecting is some sort of, I think we can all agree, something that's in our brain that's we need to do this somehow. I don't know exactly what it's called, OCD or something, some form of OCD. But there is a point in a line. Oh, what?
It's some kind of compulsion.
Yeah. And I think that, but there is a line for, I think, most collectors, to where, like, I'm not going to complete the NES library. That's like over 700 games. I'm at like 200, almost 300 games. I'm good there. Most of these games I didn't even fucking own as a kid. And a lot of them, I look at them and I'm like, man, why the fuck did I even buy that? Some of them I look at, I'm like, why the fuck? I'm not going to ever play this. Why the fuck do I even own it? Princess of Tomato Kingdom? Why the fuck am I ever going to? I'm never going to play that.
Yeah, it's
So
one of
I
those
don't know.
things where you find it for cheap, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
fuck, when I was collecting comic books for a while there, I was going to the quarter bins and trying to amass this crazy collection. And then when I like purged through all of them and got rid of like probably 70% of my collection, I was like, why did I even buy that back then? You know, like, why I was just trying to have this crazy collection. And I think it goes with like you kind of hate on something I got to comment on. Like you said, you didn't own a lot of those games when you were a kid. When I was a kid, I owned like 10 Nintendo games, and I was like 10 of, like 9 of them were shit. You know what I mean? And it
Yep.
wasn't even like with me, it was I played a lot of those games like at my cousin's house, because he had all the good games, and he had like a Sega and shit like that. So
Yeah.
like, I think a lot of people are sort of chasing the collections of, like, the combined collections of people they knew, and the stuff that they had themselves, and then the stuff that they learn about through like online research and stuff like that. And of course, like, every once in a while there'll be like a quasi celebrity YouTuber within that category that'll like bring something to light, and then all of a sudden everybody wants that, you know. And
Yeah, the fucking explosion of Pokemon cards is going on right now. I cannot believe it. It's just like, when is like, I'm waiting for fucking, like, when PewDiePie or one of these fucks that are gonna be like, oh fucking I'm gonna recollect Beanie Babies, and that shit's gonna fucking blow up again. You remember that fucking craze?
Oh yeah.
And those you see those at every fucking antique store and every flea market and everything, going for fucking pennies on the dollar right now. And that was the same thing for Pokemon cards a year ago. A year ago, Pokemon cards were fucking trash. You can wipe your ass with Pokemon cards, and but now they're fucking crazy expensive again for Generation 1 cards. I
Yeah,
don't get it.
it only takes one prick to you know rekindle their relationship with something from the past, and then all of a sudden, like if fucking like you said, like if PewDiePie decides he wants to start collecting horror movies, all of a sudden
Oh,
you'd go on
God.
eBay and everything would cost a fucking arm and a leg for like Chucky and stuff. Like even now though, when you do, like I personally don't buy a lot of tapes online for the strict purpose of I don't want to spend $14 on a tape that I could probably find for a quarter around here and then pay like $16 shipping on top of that. And then I get it and it's like this kind of blows, man. Like it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I when I did my movie review on Curtains from 1983, that movie I think fucking sucks. I think Curtains is way fucking overrated. I don't understand what the big hype is and the big deal about that fucking movie. The biggest selling point for that fucking movie is the cover art where it looks a doll like coming through some like vagina lips or something like that. But I don't understand why that movie's so coveted and why it's so fucking expensive online. I don't get it.
It's
And VHS tapes in the last year or two, I've noticed when you look at shit online, a tape that I bought for probably $1 2 years ago is going for fucking like $20 now. And it's like, who the fuck are buying these? Who's buying $20 VHS tapes on eBay? Who's doing that? Why would you do that?
yeah, it would have to be like some crazy import or something for me to drop $20 on a tape, or
Dude,
something
I got
extremely.
Frankenhooker for fucking $15 at the flea market. And Frankenhooker, you look online on eBay for that shit, and that shit's going for like almost $100.
Yeah,
What the fuck?
that's so it's so stupid because like that movie's not even that amazing. Like that movie's not worth $100. First of all, it's only worth $100 to the sucker with the bread to buy it. To quote a guy from Dawn of the Dead,
Right.
there, because people like us that like sure like we want the shit, but we're not gonna like empty our wallets just to have fucking Frankenhooker. I think $15 go from 15 to $20. I think is fair if it's like kind of a hard to find movie, but anything higher than that, it's gross, man. It's so gross. And you see these people, like I've personally been in thrift stores and I've seen like the goons in there like with their phone out and like looking up these movies,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, dude, like there's like a million copies of that floating around. Like there's so many copies. I don't know why I keep using Chucky as an example, but there's so many copies of Chucky out there. There's so many copies of say Halloween out there. It's like Super Mario 3. Like I've been in places and seen that for like 40, $50. And I'm like,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, everybody had that game, and there's got to be millions of them out there, and it's just these goons like driving up the price, and it sucks, man. It sucks for people that want to start collecting like as a beginner, you know what I mean? Like let's say like, oh, my kid wants to start collecting video games, and but it's going to cost like $90 per game and then like 180 for the console. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. I know and I know it goes in waves. Like I know that the NES stuff is kind of settled, but it's still fucking high. Like when I went, I did like a Facebook and Instagram video when I went to the flea market a month ago or whatever. There's still fucking sports games and regular Mario and Duck Hunt still trying to be sold for like fucking $50. So these people are just not understanding, and it also doesn't help. There's like a big company right now that's in retro video games, especially called Heritage Auctions, and they're fucking driving up the prices of NES games and Super Nintendo games like nuts. Like you said, Mario 3. Mario 3 was huge for Heritage Auctions like a few months ago because they were selling like a misprinted Mario 3 where the label's just reversed. The Super Mario's is on the left and not the right, or on the whatever, one of those two. And for some reason, those were going for fucking thousands and thousands of dollars. But people find those all the time. I think I might have one or two in there, and it's like, pfft, people are that fucking stupid where they're spending the money. And VHS tapes is no different. And Yeah, Frankenhooker's not a fucking very good movie. It's funny, but it's not that good. I would never ever fucking pay more than what I paid for it. Ever.
Definitely not,
I
man.
don't know.
I think like when it comes to me and buying tapes, it's been kind of lackluster for like the last pretty much for all of lockdown. I haven't really bought any tapes. I bought a few here and there, but it's not like the old days where you could like go into a thrift store and come out with like a bag full of movies for like
Yeah.
$10, you know, and they were all probably going to be good. And that now like now that everyone's sort of like wants these weird obscure sort of, you know, cyberpunky kind of movies or like old like 80s horror stuff, and it's like it's ridiculous because like again you have these pricks going in there buying them and then putting them on eBay, and then no one ever buys them, and it's like now this guy just has this backlog of all these like awesome movies that I would love to own and would buy off him for a reasonable price. Though like no one's gonna have their pants pulled down just to get a copy of the War
Wallet
of the
raped.
Worlds. Yeah. Wallet raped. Exactly, man. Like I just got uh within the last, I would say, year, I picked up one of the highlights was Last House on the Left on VHS, and I paid $10 for that. And I know people have, there's a lot of differing opinions on that movie. I personally like it. I dig
I like it too.
the
I
goofiness
remember
mixed with like
when I
the,
rented that.
yeah,
I rented that in like my freshman year of high school, and I remember it's like it's a good movie, but I remember it was like, wow, this is actually, this is actually pretty disturbing still for being a fucking old movie. Like what was it, the 70s when that was made,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's because
when
it has like those bumbling cops like doing like their sort of almost Three Stooges antics, but mixed in with like these psychotic rapists slash killers. And I think
and they're
I
all
just
hippies. Like everyone hates the hippies in the 70s. That makes the hippies the fucking killers.
I know it's out of, there's a really good movie called I Drink Your Blood, and it's all about these hippies, like this hippie cult group, and it's like what, like you said, man, hippies were like the antichrist in the 70s. You know, they were anti-religion, they were anti-authority, and like it was just like bad news.
Fucking Manson, man, had to ruin it for everyone.
Yeah, Charles Manson. I just watched some random fucking show on Netflix where they talked about Charles Manson, and I like personally, I was obsessed with Charles Manson for a while because when I was in college, I took this terrorism class. It was called Roots of Terrorism, and I wrote my paper on Charles Manson, and so I like learned all this like stupid like little information about him. And
Hmm.
whenever I see anything about him, I'm like, they don't fucking know. I'm a Charles Manson expert. I feel like that
Yeah.
almost like with tape sometimes because like not to sound like an elitist asshole, but like there's a lot of people out there that are new to the game, right? And are willing to spend whatever on like the stupidest stuff. And I just feel like I just shake my head at them, you know, like to the guy that would spend $1,000 on Super Mario 3 just because it's got a fucked up, a misprinted cover.
A
That's
reverse
crazy.
label.
Yeah, it's like, is there an extra like 7 worlds added to the game? Like that's like it's crazy, man. Oh.
Does it come with a blowjob?
Yeah, exactly. Like a
No, it
thousand
doesn't.
blowjobs, guy. Fuck, man. I pulled out a couple of things just to show you. Just I don't know if we talked about this movie last time. I think we might have. Three from Hell. Did you check that out
Okay,
yet?
I'm still ashamed to say I still haven't watched it.
Oh my god, man. The only reason that
I know.
I picked this up from my buddy's shop. The only reason I bought it is because the special features. It has To Hell and Back, which is the making of Three from Hell, which is a 4-part documentary. Which is like why do they have to put 4-part documentary? Why can't they just put documentary? Uh, and also there's a
Because
commentary
did you
with,
see?
what's that?
I think it's because of Rob Zombie. He's so fucking anal when it comes to the documentaries of the behind the scenes of his movies. Did you watch the one that they did on fucking Halloween? His remake of Halloween? It's like
I,
fucking 3 hours long.
really? I might have to watch that.
Yeah.
Have you seen this video
But
on YouTube?
it's not interesting though. It's not interesting. It's just
Oh,
all the shit that you already know that happens. They're all just it goes from them finding the locations. It goes from them hiring the actors. It goes from them just going around the fucking table and reading the script. It's like, dude, this
yeah.
isn't a documentary.
Yeah. Have you seen the video on YouTube? It's by a guy named the VHS Collector, and it's called "How Rob Zombie Ruined the Halloween Franchise" and all this shit. And I'm like,
No.
anyways, there's this. It's a. I think it's maybe like half an hour long video of this guy just trashing the Rob Zombie Halloween film. And I'm sitting here like, that Rob Zombie Halloween film is the best Halloween film since Halloween 2. You know what I mean? In like in the
Yeah, and
original
I fucking
series,
hated the one with Jamie Lee Curtis. The one that came out, I really fucking did not like it.
like that newest one.
Where they where they retcon fucking everything. I
Dude,
fucking
that was
hated it.
bad. That was bad, man. And I hated the fucking
It
stupid
makes me
douchebaggy
feel,
characters. It was
yeah, it
bad.
makes me feel like I'm fucking, like when I watch movies like that, it makes me feel like like, am I fucking nuts? Am I the fucking Clint Eastwood old man, Gran Torino, fucking sitting on my porch, being like, oh man, these fucking kids don't know what the fuck anymore with horror movies. That's what it makes me feel like, because when I watched that, all I'm seeing are fucking glowing review after glowing review after glowing review after glowing review. I'm like, dude, this movie is like the lowest common denominator for a fucking horror movie. Michael Myers, first of all, wouldn't act like he's fucking retarded. And what happened to everyone in this fucking town? Are they from Texas Chainsaw Next Generation? Are they that fucking stupid? Where they're getting fucking run over by cars and shit?
Yeah. The only thing that I even remember from that movie is that opening scene, like the famous part that was in the trailer when he's like showing the mask to the guy that's like chained in the middle of the park. And then
Yeah.
there's the part when there's like the chubby dude is like trying to like hit on the other girl and he gets killed like on a fence or something like that. And then the end, that's all I remember. It was so fucking forgettable. It's almost as forgettable as like those later sequels of the Halloween franchise. It sucks, man. That's one thing with me, and that goes to what we were talking about earlier. When it comes to franchises, I will only buy the stuff that I like. So in my personal collection, I've got Halloween 1, 2, 3, and then the Rob Zombies, and that's it. Because the rest of them, I just do not care about, and I wouldn't put the money out to have them, and I wouldn't waste the space on my shelves to have these movies that I fucking despise. You know,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I will say a good stoner one out of all of them is the fucking one where what's his face, isn't it? The rapper.
Oh, Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
That you see that one. Well, there's
Happy
two.
Halloween, motherfucker.
Yeah, there's two. There's the one with Busta Rhymes, which was I believe Resurrection, and then there was H2O that had LL Cool J. And the only redeeming factor with the one with Busta Rhymes, in my opinion, is my favorite scene in that movie is when he's sitting in the hotel, like clearly baked, and he's like watching a kung fu movie. That's the highlight of the movie to me, man. It's not even doesn't even have anything to do with Michael Myers. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think that's like one of, it's like the guilty pleasure one. Like I said, like I'd watch it if it was like, if someone just wanted to watch it, fuck it, I'd watch it, but I wouldn't take it serious. And the Rob Zombie, I agree with you. The Rob Zombie Halloween, the first one at least that he did, I thought was I thought was fucking great for a remake. There was an inkling of hope for me when these remakes were coming out, like fucking the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. Fucking awesome.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Uh and Halloween, fucking awesome, I thought. And everyone's like, well, we don't why? Why was there a backstory to Michael Myers? Why? There shouldn't have been nothing like that. It's like, fuck you. I don't
Yeah.
want to see the same fucking movie over and over and over and over again. He added something new. It was fucking disturbing and it was cool.
Yeah, and it was so graphic and so messed up. Like I love that movie, man. I think it's I even don't mind the second one. I kind of was like one of those guys that like, I seen it once, didn't really get what he was going for and just dismissed it as trash for a long time. But then when I started to like really look into like the later ones, like because every Halloween I would kind of like watch all of them and be like, wow, like these kind of suck. Like I'm dreading having to watch like another three movies in this franchise. And then I'm like, you know what, fuck it. Let me watch that Halloween 2 again. And I'm like, this is so weird. It's weird. It's not like on the same level of weirdness as say Your House of a Thousand Corpses. Like that's weird in its own way. Like uh Halloween 2 is just like this kind of fucked up experimental film in some parts, you know, and that's
I
what
didn't
I think
like.
makes it a little bit. It gives it a little bit of something that none of them else have.
I watched it once, and I saw it in theaters. And the funny thing is, it was the first movie, and I have like a weird track record about fucking horror movie or just taking women to movies in general. I have a really bad track record of taking women to movies on first dates. I always fuck it up in some way. Um, but my girlfriend, now wife, the first movie we ever went and saw that I took her to was fucking Halloween 2. And and I mean, she's not like anti-horror movies. She'll watch them, but I was like, man, as the movie's going on, I was like, man, this was not a good idea.
No.
Because like what the shit that I remember that specifically sticks out in my mind, I was like, where the fuck is going on here? Is where there was the parts where it was like, I don't know, were they daydreams or fucking nightmares or something, where she's like the sister Laurie Strode's like riding the fucking unicorn horse or some shit like that, and there's like flashes of weird shit. I was like, what is going on in this movie?
Yeah.
What I did appreciate is where he fucking kills that one nurse and waffle stomps her fucking head.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, that chick's like a fucking Academy Award winner now, eh? I think Octavia Spencer is her name. She's like been in a lot of stuff, but she gets fucking killed in that movie. Same with Danny Trejo. He gets murdered so good in that first one, and that scene in the first
Yeah,
one.
I felt bad for him in that one.
Yeah, that's the only guy that you've ever felt bad for that Michael Myers kills, because he's like, he even says, like, as he's getting killed, he's like, I was the only one that looked out for you, Mikey, and he's just like fucking killing his ass.
I took care of you, Mike.
Yeah, and like that scene with those like hicks that are like raping that fucking mental patient, like that movie is so fucked up to watch. I remember I watched that with my mom once, and she was like, "This is fucked."
My god.
She's like, "What are you?" She's like, "This is completely fucked." She's like, "This isn't how they did it in our day." I'm like, "Well, you know, there's some movies that are pretty fucked up from your day, but I agree, this is pretty twisted. Like, it's messed up. It's messed up. Man.
Fucking what? Last House on the Left was from your mom's day, probably.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and like one of the this is no shit. This is a true VHS story. So my uncle, who's also a heavy duty cinephile, like he loves movies. I got a lot of his collection. Like he's still alive, but he just like pawned it all off on me. But he had a movie called Pink Flamingos. Have you heard of this film?
No.
Okay, it's a John Waters film. Are you familiar with John Waters?
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you and everyone out there. I am the worst when it comes to actors and directors' names. I can know movies front to back, but it's names are like always a bad thing with me.
Okay, that's cool. So, anyways, my uncle had gave my grandpa this film and said, "This is a really weird film. You need to watch it." So my grandpa was like a chain smoking like boozer that like he's just like a real fun kind of guy. And he calls me up.
I mean, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, he was awesome. But anyways, he calls me up and he's like, "You got to come over and see this movie." So me, my mom, and my little brother, he's 22 now. At the time, he was probably like 8. And we pop in this movie called Pink Flamingos. And I swear to God, it's the most disturbing, twisted, fucked up movie that's not a horror film that I've ever seen in my life. And I sat there with my mom and my grandpa. My mom like looked so grossed out the whole time. My grandpa like couldn't stop laughing, and in turn I couldn't stop laughing because I'm like, this is crazy. So the basically the conceit of the film is there's this group of people who want to be the filthiest people on the planet, and in turn they like break into these other people that are trying to be filthier than them and start like licking their furniture and like rubbing themselves all over the walls. It's from 1972, so it's just like out there.
Like, what do they do? They eat shit or something?
They eat shit. There's the end of the film.
Oh my god.
Dude, at the end of the film, this transvestite eats dog shit, and then it looks pretty fucking real. But there's another scene where this transvestite woman goes into this like a butcher shop and gets these steaks and puts these steaks like in between her thighs, steals them, and then goes home and cooks them for the family. And it's just like, what the fuck are we watching? But what I'm getting at is this is like,
man, that sounds weird.
It's weird, guy. But there's so many different types of movies out there for different types of people, and you'll get different what is it, like different opinions on them from different types of people. So my mom thought it was fucked up. My brother was like scarred for life. Me and my grandpa had a riot the whole time. You know what I mean? So it's crazy because there's all these different factors that'll just make you feel different ways, and it's fun to see how other people react to movies as well. Like that's one of my favorite things to do, is to show people like weird movies and see how they react. See, I'm looking at them when certain parts are coming up just because I want to see if they like either laugh or fucking puke. It's crazy.
Right. The podcast that I'm doing right now, the Due by Midnight one that I'm doing with Brett, that's, I think, also the beauty of that, because he's never seen any of these. Like we watched The Fly, he never saw The Fly.
Yeah.
He is no familiar with David Cronenberg's work. He never saw any of the Texas Chainsaw Massacres except for the remake. And the next episode we're doing is Hellraiser, and he has no fucking idea what the entire franchise is even about.
Oh,
and I'm like, I cannot
lucky.
wait to see his reaction.
And the thing, that's amazing, because like those movies are so fucking good, and it's like the first time that you see Hellraiser is when you're an adult and you can comprehend it better than when you could say, like, when we seen those movies we were kids, right? And we were like, oh, this is just crazy. And now it's like, holy fuck, you can like put it into like an adult mind frame. And Hellraiser is such like an adult kind of film, especially getting into like, I think Hellraiser 1 and 2 is like it's probably the most powerful first and sequel film out of any of the franchises out there, man.
Right.
It's so crazy.
I agree. And I think it's because Clive Barker had like full control of those two, because they were based off his two books, right? Both of those sequel, or the first one and the second one, were his two books. The Hellbound Heart and whatever the fuck the second one was called.
There's a really good documentary about part 2 on Shudder. You guys have Shudder? You guys gotta have Shudder.
I did have Shudder for a while, except I canceled it because most of the movies that were on there I fucking already owned.
Yeah, see, I get that. The only thing that it's really worth a shit for me on Shudder, there's some international, like foreign movies, and there's some good like sort of straight to Shudder like documentaries and stuff like that. But other than that, you're right, like most of the shit I pretty much got, and I'm gonna pay like $5 a month for like, it's not worth it, to be honest. It's worth it if you're gonna like, binge watch a bunch of like shit that you already own, just to for whatever reason. Like sometimes I'm kind of guilty for like throwing something on Netflix that I already got just for like to save me like 10 seconds of grabbing it off the shelf for whatever reason. But in terms of Shudder, like it's like to me,
I think we're all guilty of that.
Yeah. See. Yeah, like
I mean, I do that with Akira all the time, and Dragon Ball Z. Like, dude, I own all the seasons on Blu-ray of Dragon Ball Z. I own Akira on 3 different formats, and I still will just put it on Prime because it's fucking easier than me getting up and putting in the fucking Blu-ray.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, I was so anti like streaming for a while, and now I'm just like, Netflix, fucking whatever, Amazon Prime, like all these things. And I don't know, man. It's weird, because I remember when I was like first getting like heavy duty into collecting movies, I was like, fuck that stuff. I'll never pay for them. I'll never pay for that shit. And now I'm like, these are awesome. But I will also admit that right now I only have Netflix, and I haven't had it for like a few months. And so there's a lot of stuff that's added that wasn't on there before. But once like the luster of that burns off, they're pretty much worthless, like kind of platform. Like, I don't know, it's a love-hate relationship with me with these fucking things, man. Like,
yeah, and what I really don't like about all of the streaming platforms, like the big selling point that you always see in YouTube videos and stuff, is an ad for like NordVPN or whatever that shit is, that we're not being paid for, by the way, to mention their name. I'm just bringing it up as an example, but I always see them being fucking advertised, and their biggest thing that they fucking advertise about getting that shit is about putting yourself in a fucking different country so you can access shit that Netflix has for other people that we don't have. Why the fuck can't we have it all? Like, why do they get it and we don't? And it's normally like the reason why I don't have Netflix anymore, and I haven't had Netflix for like 3 years, is because all the shit that we always get in there is like shit sequels. There's always like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Next Generation's on fucking Netflix, but not 1 through 3. Or Scream 4 is on Netflix, but not 1 through 3. It's like, I don't want to watch any of this shit.
Yeah.
So fuck it.
That's the thing, right? Like they think they're like doing people a favor by throwing the later sequels of stuff on there, you know? Like it's stupid, man. Like nobody gives a shit about Halloween 5 and 6. You know, like it's just it's crazy to me. It's crazy. Who wants to see this shit? It's almost like that channel AMC.
I hate that one. Oh yeah, AMC. Fuck AMC.
Yeah.
And fuck The Walking Dead.
Oh fuck The Walking Dead, dude. I that show to me, I can't believe it's still on. Like it blows me away that shit is still on. The AMC is just.
There are a lot of retarded people out there, dude. There's a lot of stupid people, man, in this world.
It's like the same people that.
That's the only reason why that show's surviving. It's the reason why that show's surviving. Why did Ash vs. Evil Dead fucking not survive? But somehow this bullshit show is living on in its fucking like 12th season.
Yeah, it's like the same people that are like walking around with like a Sons of Anarchy shirt on. And like a fucking Walking Dead hat, and it's like, dude, who gives a shit? Like, I understand that, you know, being a fan of stuff, but man, I've seen people walking around with like the Walking Dead like full get up with like the shirt and like the hat and like all that kind of shit, and then same with Sons of Anarchy with like an actual fucking like biker vest. Yeah, I'm like, dude, you're gonna get yourself fucking shot in some like back hick fucking like bar in the middle of St. Thomas, Ontario or something. It's crazy to me, man.
I mean, in California, and even in my area, especially my area, the Hells Angels are still very active. You see them every once in a while on the fucking freeway and shit riding together. Those 3-piece cuts, man, if they, I wouldn't even want to imagine what would happen to a person riding around with a fucking Sons of Anarchy fucking 3-piece cut on. You know, that shit is not fucking taken lightly around here. So I don't understand why people are that fucking retarded.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's like you're asking for trouble in the same way that a lot of people, this is totally kind of unrelated, but related at the same time. There's so many people out there that walk around with like Nirvana shirts on and like, different horror movie shirts on and stuff. And it's like, you know, nothing about it. One of the biggest things right now is Thrasher. Like this skateboard. I'm sure you're familiar with Thrasher. Yeah. And we might have even talked about that. I think we talked about this last time. Yeah. Well, it still holds true, man. It's like I see like people like walking around that are just like, you totally know they're not a skateboarder. You totally know they don't fucking like Wu-Tang Clan and all this shit. And they're just like, this is like cool. It's like, it's not, dude. It's like you're being phony.
It's the shit you can buy at Walmart now. It's like the fucking like, what was it, in the early 2000s? Or the mid 2000s, you always saw people walking around with a fucking like Led Zeppelin shirt on and shit like that, or Pink Floyd, and they didn't know fucking anything about the albums or the band.
Yeah.
So it's just like that Walmart, and like Spencer's, like we were talking about earlier, or fucking Hot Topic. It's just like all that shit. It's just like poser shit.
Yeah, it's sad, dude. It's so sad because it hurts like the kid out there that like maybe his dad was like really into Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, that kind of shit, and like so he knows the band, he knows the songs and all that, and then he's gonna get tossed into that mixture of shit, you know, and it's like, oh, you're just wearing that because everyone else is, and it's like, well, no, I could school you on every album out, and it's sad,
right?
It sucks.
I had an experience like that in my sophomore year of high school. I fucking love System of a Down. I could tell you a shitload of stuff about System of a Down, and I had one System of a Down shirt, and I felt like I couldn't fucking wear it at school because those fucking stupid weird kids that would sit under the stairs and always had a fucking Invader Zim shirt on and those weird fucking pants, and would wear System of a Down shirt, but they didn't know anything about the music. They didn't care about the music. It's that Hot Topic, like, this is my style. This is my style kind of thing. It's like I'm dressing apart like a fucking costume on Halloween. I don't get it.
Yeah,
I felt like I
it's all
couldn't wear that
fictitious.
shirt at school.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy. I understand that like there's fads and stuff out there, but to the point where it like has to like make you resent a shirt of a band that you actually like, it just it's so bullshit. Such
Yeah, a
bullshit.
tour shirt. Like I saw them live. I saw Korn fucking live. Like those are the shit. Those were like the main bands that you always see fucking posers wearing shit. It's like, oh, I want to be on the edge.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, fuck you.
Yeah, it's sad, man. It's I put this person on I what they call checked. I think it was this girl that my brother started dating, and she I don't know if she had a Wu-Tang shirt or was like talking about Wu-Tang, and or maybe because I have a Wu-Tang patch and stuff on my vest. She's like, oh, the Wu-Tang, blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, what's your favorite song? And now when I think about it, I feel like an asshole, but she just couldn't give me an answer. And I just like my brother's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, well, fuck, man, this is exactly what I'm talking about, man. Like you
That's a
can't
normal question.
exactly, exactly. It's like if you're wearing that shirt that says Creep Show, and I say, oh, what's your favorite story from Creep Show? And you're just like, oh, well, I like the whole thing. I can't really remember. And it's like, dude, you're fucked, man.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if you were to ask me that, it'd probably be a toss-up between the Crate and I don't I don't know why in Creepshow 2 people hate it so much. I always hear about how people hate this one in Creepshow 2 with the fucking wooden Indian, but I fucking love that one. Why do people hate it?
Dude, that's the best. Honestly, I think if you could do one thing, if you could like take one from Creepshow 2 and put it into Creepshow 1, I would take out that stupid fucking cockroach one and put Chief Woodenhead in there
I
because
hate the cockroach one. I fucking hate the cockroach one. The cockroach one was fucking stupid. It felt like a Tales from the Crypt fucking late episode. It was so shitty.
and
That's
dude,
what I felt like.
they ended the fucking movie with that one.
Yeah,
And it's like
hate that one.
why the fuck did they do that? Like it's so stupid. Like I get it, I understand it. Like maybe if you're like a germaphobe, like maybe if we were germaphobes, we could understand that a little bit better. But it's just like this falls so flat. You have like classic after classic after classic, and then this bullshit. And even in part two, like the scene, like the one like thanks for the ride, lady. Like that one's creepy and has its like
Yeah,
people that say they don't like Creepshow 2, I think they're full of shit. I don't believe them. That's just a fact. I think it's bullshit. I think that movie's
I've never
solid.
met a person that says that they don't like it. I've met people that they think the fucking worst one is the fucking wooden Indian. I don't understand why.
That one's amazing, and that one
I
has
think
so
that one's
much.
fucking awesome.
It has so much to it. It has like the scene when they're in the store. It has like the scene before the robbery at the store, and then the robbery
There's
itself. And
lore.
yeah, there's all this stuff to it, and it's like this is amazing. And you have like that badass like native dude that's like, you see this hair? It's gonna get me paid and laid. Like all that, all those good
Yeah.
one-liners, man. And it's like, fuck, how could you not like this? This is so dope, man. Fuck.
Did you ever play it was on Xbox 360 and maybe PS3. It was called Prey. It was the first Prey.
I don't think I have, man.
So the whole premise of that game is you're a fucking Native American living on a reservation and you get fucking abducted into it's a horror sci-fi game, but you get abducted by fucking aliens and you have to go fucking like kick ass on fucking aliens like Duke Nukem version, but it's really fucked up. They show like it's almost like Hellraiser in a way where the experiments that they show going on humans that you like see going on inside the ship is fucked up. And it's really good. And what it reminds me of is the whole opening because it takes place on the reservation in like a shit little town.
Yeah.
It's like the fucking like they based it on the fucking wooden Indian story of that fucking movie.
God damn. I gotta play that shit.
It's good. It's a good game. No one ever fucking talks about it either. It's weird.
That's unfortunate, man. I feel like there's a lot of stuff kind of coming out of the woodwork. Like it's even in the last like little while, like I'm just discovering stuff that like there's this movie called Video Violence. Have you heard of this film?
Mm-mm.
Dude, it's honestly, I watched the first one and the second one. they're shot on video. They're from like 86 and 87, and they're shot in like some like upstate New York, some part of upstate New York, and they are some of the best, what I would call like, I wouldn't call it slapsticky, but like it's just so like funny without trying to be funny and ridiculous. It's basically about like this town, and there's this new video store owner, and the cool part about the video store is they like actually show like posters for like Friday the 13th Part 5 or 4, and then like Peace. Like there's a part where this guy goes into the video store and he's like, "Do you have the movie with the chainsaw?" And I'm thinking he's gonna grab Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he grabs Pieces. Like I was like,
oh my god!
I'm like, dude, this is crazy, man. And but anyways, like these tapes are getting like returned to the store that are snuff films, and it's all about like the guy that owns the video store trying to discover like get to the bottom of these snuff films. And there's 2 of them, and it's like, this is so fucking dope. Why? Like I've heard of them, but it's taken me so long to see this movie, and now I'm like trying to like get into even more like sort of obscure kind of shot on video stuff that I wouldn't otherwise watch, like because I neglected a lot of horror films over the years because I was like, oh, it's not franchise. Well, fuck that. I thought if it wasn't like for a while, I thought Slumber Party Massacre was like a undergroundy kind of horror film, and then I come to find out that it's like well known and there's sequels and all that kind of stuff. But when it's crazy, man.
I always saw like at Blockbuster, I always saw Slumber Party Massacre everywhere, all in that fucking store when I was a kid. Always. But I do know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know. Like, why the fuck? I still want to go back. Why is fuck Curtain so fucking coveted? Why is that movie coveted? I don't get it. It sucks.
Is that a Full Moon movie?
No, it is not.
I feel like Full Moon is like fucking. I know that you love like your Full Moon and like your Puppet Masters and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like that company is just it's put out like quite a few stinkers. You know what I mean? Like when you get into the later years.
I'm
like,
not gonna disagree.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna disagree. But what I do. Here's the thing: is Full Moon has made a lot of bad movies, like Ginger Dead Men. I do like it. I like it because it's shit, right? Dead Men is a shit movie. I own even a little statue of the Ginger Dead Men guy, but it's a shit movie. The sequel shit. The third one, they didn't even fucking do it with practical effects. They did it full CGI animation, and it looks just like Teletubbies bad shit. You know what I mean? It looks bad. The Evil Bong stuff, bad. By the time they get to Puppet Master 5, fucking horrible. But what I appreciate about Full Moon is that they still are profitable because they experiment. They still give these people that want to make a horror movie the ability to create something, even if it's going to be not very good. It's not something that you see anymore, and that's why we have horror movies that are fucking coming out in remakes and droves, and they're shit. And like that fucking remake of Nightmare on Elm Street where he looks like the worst CGI from fucking Spawn, the Spawn movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was bad. The only good part about that film is fucking Clancy Brown is in the film. I think he was like the principal or something like that. Other than that, that movie was god awful. And I remember everybody like hyped it up so much because I think it came out after the Friday the 13th remake, which I'm not like the biggest fan of. Yeah, see, I'm not the biggest fan of that movie, but I'm like, this is all right. You know, it's a little bit more of the same, you know, but it wasn't horrible. Like you always had cringy characters, you always had like, you know, obvious kills coming and stuff like that. But when it came to that fucking remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, it was just so bad. And you had that chick that like looked like she was 30, being a teenager, and you had like that like cringy. Actually, I don't mind that, like the boy. I don't know what his name was in the film, but like the love interest essentially. He was in Haunting of Connecticut, which was like a pretty like crazy, kind of pretty scary, fucked up horror film from, I think, you know, like the mid 2000s. And I feel like a lot of movies like that spawned so many of those like So we have Haunting in Connecticut, and then all of a sudden they make like Haunting in this, Haunting in that, blah blah blah. Same with like the Exorcism of Emily Rose, and then all of a sudden the Exorcism of this chick, of that person. It's like, holy fuck, man! Like you can't keep up with them. You can't keep up with
Emily Rose was pretty entertaining. I laughed during that one.
dude. That
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That movie is the only movie that really tripped. The only reason that movie tripped me out is because I remember we watched it at the theater, and I was walking home from my buddy's house, and I was really fucking high, and I'm walking, and I looked at this window, and there was like a dude that was just like, he was like doing his dishes or something like that, and for some reason I like looked away really quick because all I could see was that fucking face in the window, like that one part in Emily Rose. I was like, fuck, man,
Yeah.
this is too much, man. But I agree, it's pretty laughable.
I have a funny story about Emily Rose too. Me and my brother went and saw that, and my brother, he was in middle school, maybe even younger than that when I took him to see it. And the part where she starts like reciting shit from like what normally you see in every kind of devil movie, like We Are Legion and all that kind of shit, you know. I started like saying that shit as she was saying it in the theater. Never seeing the movie, by the way. My brother looks at me like, how do you know like this stuff? Like he was all freaked out, like he thought I was like some sort of devil worshiper or some shit.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious. But it's like in every fucking movie with the devil, you see the same line said over and over again, like the Exorcist movies. You see it over and over again. So it's just something you know by the back of your hand.
Yeah, it's like that speaking in tongues, ex mortis ducalis bala, all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
It's in all those movies, man. And that's another thing about like Netflix and shit like that. There's so many of these like made for Netflix movies that are so fucking hard to watch, like Amityville, like Part 11 or something like that. And it's like, dude, this franchise just, it needs to die. Like the first 3 I think are amazing. Everything after that is just, actually, I think the Amityville horror remake is pretty good as well. With
I thought it was really good too. I'm glad you said that because I was gonna say like the one, the Ryan Reynolds one, thought was fucking great for a remake, and I think that was even before. Maybe it was after Texas Chainsaw. I can't. I
think it was after.
That's getting close at the same time.
Yeah, but and that's the thing. Like that's why I think people like we had such high expectations for like the Friday the 13th remake, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, because Texas Chainsaw remake was so goddamn good, and even the sequel to the remake was amazing. And you know, your fucking whatever one we just talked, Amityville Horror was so good.
Mm-hmm.
The Omen one, I don't really remember good enough to speak on that one right
Actually, the Omen one was good. That was my junior year of high school, the Omen one, and it came out on January 6th, 2006. So their whole was their whole selling. And I did see that and was like, whoa, you know what? This is actually good for an Omen movie. It has my favorite scene in it, the most hilarious scene I think in all horror movies. It's all for you.
Oh, and she jumps off the fucking
building.
Yeah.
I think that is like one of the funniest scenes.
Yeah, that's a franchise that I think a lot of people kind of skip out on, and it's actually decent. Like I think there's 4 in like the main sort of franchise, and like I think the first one's good, second one's good, the third one I believe has Sam Neill in it. I don't think that one was that bad, and then there was a 4th one. I think it was a chick, but especially those first 2 Omens, like they're good, and they're like 70s horror that people don't even really talk about. And it's sad because those movies are same with Phantasm. Like Phantasm is a franchise horror film that nobody talks about other than horror fans. You know, like movie fans don't talk about that kind of shit. It's got to be like, especially in this day and age, we got the Marvel films and we got the Star Wars films, and that's it. You know, it's so sad. Like even now, like when we're in lockdown right now, but like when like 2 weeks ago we weren't, and you could go to a movie theater still, but they were playing like the same fucking thing all the time. Like it was bad, man. Like I'm talking about, you know, do you want to see Star Wars or do you want to see Star Wars, or do you want to see Avengers or Avengers? Because that's all we got. And they might play Elf because it was Christmas.
The last movie I even saw in theaters, I think, was Sonic. Oh, and that was before COVID, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I still am pretty in the same mindset of fuck the theaters. I don't. Even before COVID happened, I didn't go to the theaters very often because I'm not going to pay to see shitty movies. I really, really don't give a shit about Star Wars. I do not give a shit about anything Marvel or Disney. I don't care. The last superhero movie I ever saw was the first Thor. I haven't seen anything since then. I haven't seen any of the new Spider-Man movies. None of the fucking Guardian of the Galaxy shit. No Fantastic Fours. No whatever the other fuck has come out since then. I've seen nothing. And I still refuse. I don't care. And Star Wars, I feel the same. After I saw that fucking the bullshit one where fucking Luke Skywalker just, you know what, I'm tired. I'm gonna disappear at the end of the movie, evaporate or whatever. Fucking pissed me off so much. I said fuck Star Wars, and I still feel the same way. I just don't care. In horror movies, when I saw that, like I said, that Halloween Redcon fucking movie, I was like, fuck horror movies too. I was like, I'm not watching any new horror movies.
Yeah. The
So
thing is, there's only like there's a small handful of people out there that are still making horror films. Like, and when I say horror films, I mean like good ones. Like, there's the director. His name is Robert Eggers, and he did a movie called The Witch, and he also did that movie The
huh.
Lighthouse. Dude, those movies are fucking sweet, man. They're so good. And there's another guy, Ari Aster, who did Hereditary and fucking Midsommar.
Okay, so I watched Hereditary. I think we talked the day I watched it.
Okay.
And I told you, I was like, Hereditary didn't do it for me because I felt like it was just a retelling of like a bunch of other shit I've already seen in horror movies before, and it took forever to get to the fucking end, like the point where it was like, okay, this part's cool. Like the part where she's fucking finally in the air and she's stabbing her neck over and over and over again. I thought
Yeah.
that shit was good. I thought that was really fucking creepy. I laughed my ass off when the deformed sister hits the fucking light pole and her head fucking blows up. I fucking laughed so hard at that part. But the rest of it, where I was just like, this is like a retelling of so many other fucking like Pazuzu and everything else that I've ever seen fucking in horror movies said before.
Yeah.
Midsummer I liked a lot, but still the point of Midsummer, what's the takeaway message from Midsummer? Don't take fucking drugs from strangers.
Yeah.
You know?
Like this. Okay. And like here's me like quasi defending Hereditary, because I do agree it does have a lot of tropes. It has like, the scene that's literally lifted right out of Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, where like Heather Langenkamp is like in the classroom and she like kind of passes out and like wakes up in a frenzy. They take that from that.
Mm-hmm.
They take a lot of stuff from your Rosemary's Baby, especially like with the whole cult thing happening and like a lot of secretive shit happening. Like there is a lot of stuff. I just feel like at the time when it came out, if you compare it to the other movies that were coming out at the time, like in theaters, because I'm a big theater guy, I love going to theaters, and it was just like, wow, like here's something that it was kind of misleading in the trailers, because it's called Hereditary and you're thinking it's going to be about like this disease, but in reality it's like a witchcraft kind of movie, and I've always like really been into that kind of stuff. So I get your like what your take from it, I understand, but I just think like, and again, you have to compare it to what was coming out at the time along with it. And the majority of horror films coming
Mm-hmm.
out at that time were all Netflix exclusive kind of things. It was just like, damn, this is like a professionally made horror film that has like pretty decent acting in it, And same with like Midsummer. I personally like Hereditary more than Midsummer. I can understand why you would like it more. I think the opening of that film, where it shows like the chick that's in the fucking, with like that stuff taped to her face, like from the car exhaust, I thought that was like insane. But uh, yeah, I don't know. I really like, see, that's the fun part about this. We don't always have to agree that something is fucking good, or something is shit or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
The
like,
thing the thing about Hereditary that really really made me think of like other horror movies that had already been out that were more recent was it was like the possession of Deborah something. It was like that old lady one. You remember when that fucking old lady's like possessed by the devil,
I
and they
never
have to
seen
go
that.
like hunt her down. Oh, yeah, that was like a bigger one. And then fucking which Paranormal Activity, which one where they had all those fucking cult people at the end that were like fucking coming towards the fucking house and not letting that person escape.
Oh yeah,
You know which one I'm talking about?
that was the marked ones, I think.
The marked ones or something like that.
Yeah,
And
and
then
that
the
was
other
the
one with
Spanish family, I think, right?
yeah, I think so. And then what was the other one where the guy's like a Louisiana and it's another like Blair Witch Project film
Oh
thing and
yeah,
they
that
think
one's
like
actually
the
not bad.
ghost. I love that one, but
Yeah,
that's like all the shit just reminded me of that. I was like, it's like I'm watching that, except for the end. The end I liked. The end is like the part where I wanted more stuff. I wanted more creepy stuff that was original instead of feeling like it was lifted because I felt like I was just watching other stuff all the way up to the point of the end. I love the actress, that lady, whoever she is, that played the mom in The Sixth Sense. I thought she's great,
yeah,
but and the subplot where it's like kind of like the stuff's well, I guess that's why it's called Hereditary, where the shit's fucking passed down over and over and over again. But that stuff I liked, but all the other stuff, like I said, it just felt like it's like I've seen this already. I've seen this already. I've seen this already. You know?
dude, are we thinking of the same like Louisiana one where there's like a scene at the beginning with the priest and he's like, listen, I could go in there and give like a banana
He's
bread
full of
recipe.
shit.
Yeah, I love that one, dude. I think that one is
Yeah,
so.
what is that one called? Fuck,
Uh,
I really like that one.
yeah, that one's really good. Yeah, that one's actually like one of the better sort of like found footage horror films and is creepy and shit and like has like that whole, since he's like sort of a non-believer and like he immediately thinks that like the dad is like raping the daughter and all that shit and it gives you like all these crazy fucked up vibes and like it's just well done. Rarely it's
Yeah.
done, but sometimes it's well done and that's great, man, because we got too many of these fucking shitty garbage movies, man. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's such a dying art. Like everything is just going to the way of like like we said, like our Marvel shit and all that kind of stuff. Like I don't want a rated PG horror film. I want my horror to be rated R, and I want it to be hardcore. And bring back fucking
Even
nudity
if
in horror
it's
films, man.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, like the Friday the 13th remake, going back to like I love all the cheesy fucking nudity in all the Friday the 13th movies. It's fucking great. And the remake had that to a point, but when you I remember when I got pissed off because when I went and bought the fucking extended cut of that movie, the only extended part of that movie is the fucking sex scene.
Mm.
And it adds nothing. It's just the chick riding the dude's dick for like an extra 2 minutes longer. And I was like, this is bullshit. Why did I buy this?
Yeah. Yeah, that's sad because you want that extra 2 minutes to be of killing, or of it's almost like I think we might have talked about this before, but with RoboCop, like the director's cut of RoboCop has so much more fucking violence added. It's ridiculous. Like that is what you want. Like when you see a unrated cut or something. Like I want to see more violence. I don't want to. I don't set like I want to see nudity in my horror films, but if the director's cut is nudity added, I think that's bullshit, man. Because
Yeah.
it's crazy. The films of the
Like
80s,
I
they were
haven't
just rifled with fucking tits, and now like you can't. They
yeah.
don't show tits at all or anything. Like I'm not just
No.
out there
Yeah,
to
no,
see
they don't.
tits, but I want to see it in my horror films because I think it puts these people, especially women, in more like of a vulnerable position. Like they're running around with their tits hanging out, and they got a guy chasing them with a chainsaw. Is scarier than a chick like without her tits hanging out. If that makes sense, like. Fuck, my
It does
girlfriend's
make
gonna be
sense
like, "What the
because
fuck did you say in that
you're more
podcast?"
vulnerable.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
you're more vulnerable in that way.
Yeah,
I mean, it'd be like if you're getting killed while you're taking a shit,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Like, what are you gonna do? You're in the middle of taking a shit, and some guy's gonna kill you,
yeah,
like we saw on the Halloween remake.
Yeah, which was dope. Fuck.
Yeah, was fucking great.
And the cool part about that
Um,
was that guy was actually, it's the actor's name is Ken Foree, and he's from the original Dawn of the Dead. So I remember seeing that
yeah.
and being like, whoa. And I remember feeling like I was the only person in the world that like knew about like older horror films, especially like kind of, in high school and shit like that. So when I seen that, I remember being like, that's fucking, I didn't know his name was Ken Foree at the time, but I'm like, that's the guy from Dawn of the Dead. And or like, that's Danny Trejo from fucking Blood In, Blood Out. Like, what the hell is he doing in this movie? Like, all that kind of stuff.
hmm
So it's crazy. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's like when I tell people that like when Machete first came out, it's like, dude, did you know that this is set in the same universe as Spy Kids? Like that's their fucking uncle in Spy Kids. And they're like, no, it's not. You're full of shit. I'm like, yeah, it is. No, it's not. Okay, go look. His name is fucking Machete in Spy Kids. It's made by Robert Rodriguez. It's the same fucking universe. He calls himself Machete the whole fucking time. It's in the same universe, but yet no one wants to fucking acknowledge that.
And that's like an exploitation
Shit.
film, like full on, man.
Yeah, I love those movies. Those are funny.
Danny Trejo's been in a lot of like sort of like kind of offbeat movies. Like he was in a movie called Badass, and that was like and then they
Mm.
made a sequel called Badass 2 that had Danny Glover, and it was essentially like these old dudes who were badasses, like that's what it was about. It was fucking cool, man. Danny Trejo, he's one of those guys that is just like kind of universally respected for some reason. Just I don't get it, man, but I love him.
Yeah. You know what? Like if we were to take a horror movie right now and if you could ask for a sequel for a horror movie and make it like it was going to be good. Any franchise you wanted, it was going to be good. You had full control to make a good one that hasn't been seen maybe in a while. Or if it has been seen, just fucking redcon it like we saw with Halloween. What would you do?
Hmm. I think I might want to see like, holy fuck, that's a good question. I think I'd probably have to go with something that probably already has sequels. Maybe like that movie House from the
Mm-hmm.
80s. I've always really liked that movie. Wasn't the biggest fan of the sequel. Same with maybe, oh fuck, it's a good one, man. I'd like to see the movie The Ring, like just completely redone, like just the first one totally redone, because
Just from scratch.
just from scratch, just with the basic idea of like this killer VHS tape. Like I think that is such a good
Yeah.
concept. Um, oh fuck, that's a hard question, dude. Maybe I'd like to see a sequel to uh oh man, maybe like that's an insane question, man. My
I
God.
know. So like my go-tos would be like maybe a completely brand new Pumpkinhead movie.
Okay.
Like completely even though like Pumpkinhead the first movie I fucking love it. It's like it's in my top fucking 10 movies for like franchise movies. I love fucking Pumpkinhead. I love fucking monsters. I love creatures and shit. And second one would be another Jeepers Creepers movie but done right.
Yes. Yes, dude. Oh
I
man.
fucking love the creeper from that movie. It's got that all that fucking lore that they never explore, and he's such a crazy fucking character that I feel like has literally just been forgotten about.
Yeah, I think that like when they made that third one, that was so fucking bad. It was
Yeah.
atrocious. But the idea, like the first and second one, especially, like they're so fucking good. And like you said, so much untouched lore. Like everything in the basement of that church was like insane. Like his weapons, like all that kind of. I'd just love to see
hmm
a scene where he makes like one of those sort of like ninja throwing stars with like a fucking belly button on it or
Yeah,
something like
that
that.
was fucking great.
That's weird because like even like when every year like me and my girlfriend we get a cottage up north and we always bring like a handful of movies. Like we always bring The Hitcher and we bring like Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2 because they're like road movies because we'll drive like 5 hours up north and I think Jeepers Creepers 1 Like it has that kind of goofy comedic actor Justin Long, and he is like he's so good in that movie. Like it's like the Creeper's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but even everyone else is just like not a douchebag. You know, it's so
Yeah.
refreshing. It's so refreshing.
Even the crazy Catwoman was like, I mean, I believe this. I believe the universe that they're setting up here.
Yeah, like they don't have a phone, and how she's like is that guy with you or something? Like that ain't my scarecrow or whatever it was. I was like,
Yeah.
what? This is fucked. That's one of those movies that actually that came out in 2001. I would have been like fucking 10 years old or some shit, and it genuinely scared me to the point that whenever we were driving in the country, I always thought we were gonna see that, like him like dumping the bodies into that like sort of cut off thing, and then he just like looks at the vehicle and
That's the most standout part, I think, for me. Also, is like the
yeah,
part that I thought was like that fucked me up the most is when they're driving by and they're like, "What's he dumping in there?" And as they're saying it, he stops and fucking looks right at their car.
yeah,
I was like, oh,
it's like
fuck.
wrapped and roped in white sheet or some shit like that. Like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, man, what a creepy. And like again, like with that basement, like of the basement of an old church, like that, like to me, like okay, we have a demon and his hideout is an abandoned church in the basement where he has all these people. Like even that reveal where like it shows like the buddy's like I think he's like tying
Like the
shoes.
mosaic.
Yeah, yeah, and everyone's like stitched together, and like they had hinted about like that murder that happened like years prior, where like the chick's like
Hmm.
head got cut off or
Like the
something, and then
60s.
yeah, and then it's like showed, like it shows like the school ring and all that. Like this is good fucking horror movie, like good horror that is barely talked about. Like the majority of like the probably the biggest reason that movie's like not talked about a lot is because of like the fucking director like being like a pedophile and shit like that. But it's
Oh, no.
yeah, it's bad, dude. His history's
Oh
bad.
my God, dude. I did not know that.
I know, but like I said, like that. With that being
Oh,
said, that doesn't taint that movie to the point where I can't watch it because like I just think it's so fucking good. Same with like Rosemary's Baby, like how like the director was like I like he was accused of some nasty shit, but it's like, dude, I can't deny that that's a good
Rosemary Baby's a legend.
yeah.
Legendary movie.
Yeah, and not only is it legendary, but like it's sort of it's crazy because like he went on to fucking marry Sharon Tate, who was pregnant when she was killed by the Charles Manson family, and like it's this crazy like you just made a movie called Rosemary's Baby, and now your kid's getting killed. Like it's fucked up. It's like this is some weird shit happening,
Yeah.
man. I love that shit, but I think you nailed it with the Jeepers Creepers thing. I think maybe I would like to see a sequel to um uh maybe like Moby Dick, which I guess you couldn't really call a horror film, but it's like it's a pretty like maybe horror to some people, but I
It
think like
could be.
yeah, like I would love to see like a scene, especially where like say Moby Dick is like swimming and they like find him, and then he has like the skeleton of Captain Ahab with like barnacles and shit all over him, like still attached to him. I think that would be crazy.
That'd be cool. Or a fucking a full remake of the Most Dangerous Game. Why the fuck do people not ever talk about that fucking shit? That's a fucking really disturbing story.
Very.
This guy's been having this fucking island where he's just he's shipwrecking people on purpose. He's capturing like the original story. He's capturing fucking like foreigners and shit like that, and making them. He's doing the game with them, and he doesn't expect them to live very long because he doesn't really give a shit because they don't have no hunting skills. And then he gets the one fucking guy who's actually a fucking hunter who knows of what the fuck's his name of the guy that owns the island. Fuck, I should know his name, but he knows of his reputation as a hunter, and it's like it's Predator but with two people. It's fucking great, you
There's
know.
a movie. There's a movie that's kind of like that. That's called I think it's called fuck, the Beast something. It's anyways. It's about like this black dude who like hires this, or he doesn't hire, but he has like these five people come to his island. It's kind of like that story crossed with House on Haunted Hill, and he's like trying to hunt this werewolf, and at the end of it you find out that like he was the werewolf. It was fucking crazy, man. It's crazy, but I know what you
That
mean.
sounds
Like
cool.
that's a story that's just not talked about a lot at all. There's a really good horror film from back then called Horror Express, which is like a horror film that takes place on a train, not like Terror Train.
Mhm.
You know what? I'm due to rewatch Terror Train because the first time I watched it, I must have just been in a shit mood because I was like, this is bullshit. And then my cousin messaged me, and he's like, he's a horror fan, and he's like delving. He's kind of like your buddy, like, well, your buddy's not much of a horror fan, but like he hasn't seen a lot of stuff. So now he's going back and watching these movies. He messaged me, he said, I watched Terror Train and it was fucking awesome. And I'm like, what? I'm like, really? I could fucking watch this again, man. Um, Fuck, what was I gonna say? I have all my movies over there, and I keep trying to look for shit to like answer your question to, but it's just too fucking hard.
I know. There's just so much stuff.
Like shit, man.
So much stuff. I love werewolf movies though.
Yes.
Werewolf movies are like some shit that I could watch and always look for. And like, what's the one with Jack Nicholson?
Oh, Howl. I think it's called Howl.
Howl. Dude, I like know nobody that's ever seen that fucking shit. And Howl is fucking a great werewolf movie.
Dude, I've never watched it. I only know the poster.
What?
I know.
Dude. Homework.
I'm a novice, man. I got my Nirvana shirt on.
But dude, that's a great one. That's actually like I was like, whoa, Jack Nicholson movie in the late '90s or whatever. It's like, how good could it actually be? But no, it's fucking good. It is good. It's not like, Werewolf of London good, but it's fucking good.
Dude, I got one. I got one for the sequel question. Fucking Videodrome. Imagine a sequel to Videodrome, or like even like a okay, maybe not a remake, but just like taking that concept and making another movie like sort of in the same universe. Because I feel like those Cronenberg films oh fuck, this is totally what I wanted to ask you. Have you seen Possessor? It's Brennan Cronenberg. It's David Cronenberg's son. He's made a few movies, but this newest one called Possessor is so fucking good. It's so fucking good. It's almost like a kind of like Matrix without like the heavy duty sci-fi world crossed with like an assassin film. It's nuts, dude. It's nuts. But yeah,
Videodrome. Watch that.
Videodrome would be a good one to make a sequel to, and same with oh fuck. Well, everything I think of already has sequels, to be honest.
Well, I mean, like, it doesn't have to be strictly a sequel. Like, maybe if you're just gonna completely reboot it, like I would with Pumpkinhead,
I maybe do that with that movie From Hell. Make a new Jack the Ripper horror film. I've always really been into Jack the Ripper. And a lot of people hate that movie From Hell, and because I've never read the book by, I believe it was Alan Moore. But a lot of people say that it's just like so far from the source material. But I really do enjoy that movie. I think it's pretty good. I think it'd be cool to do a reimagining of that Goosebumps episode, The Haunted Mask. Kind of give you like a new...
Make it more fucked up.
Yeah, make it more fucked up.
I would love to see it more fucked up, and I'd love to see more of the backstory behind the other fucking masks that are on that shelf. And the fucking the store owner, like how many fucking, like he says it in the show, in that episode, like how many fucking masks has he gone through that he just keeps throwing on over the other one because they keep getting all diseased and fucked up. Like what's his original fucking face look like?
Yeah, that'd be a good one. That's actually like the most standout episode of Goosebumps when you think about it. Like there's that, and then there's like the one with Slappy, like the fucking whatever.
Yeah, Slappy. I got so annoyed with Goosebumps because of those fucking new movies, and Slappy somehow became like the fucking icon of Goosebumps for some reason. When there were so many better stories, like I thought Welcome to Dead House was like super fucking disturbing compared to compared to fucking a possessed doll, which I've already seen a million times over, that doesn't curse and doesn't kill people like Chucky does.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know.
dude, did you see that remake of Chucky?
Okay, so before you say anything,
Oh, dude.
when I when I watched it, when I watched it, I went in it with the worst fucking expectations. I thought it was going to be really bad, and it actually shocked me that it took the story and it did something that I didn't think it was going to do. It changed my mind to thinking it was going to be absolute shit. I don't think it's absolute shit because it made me feel bad for the fucking doll. It made me feel bad for Chucky when I never, ever, ever in any of the movies ever felt bad for Chucky before. You
Okay.
know, he was almost he was fucked up by the kid. The kid fucked him up.
Yeah, I
You
think
know?
I think the best part of that film, or like even like the most scary part of that film, is the scene like after Chucky had like killed the cat, and then like was
Yeah.
playing the recording of the cat being killed. Thought that was pretty crazy, but the rest of
Pretty
it,
maniacal.
yeah, the rest of that movie, I think I seen it with my girlfriend or my brother, and we were just like, oh, dude, I just couldn't get into it, and I couldn't get into like the way he looked or like even the voice, and I hated how he wasn't
Yeah,
called
I did not
Chucky.
like the way he looked. I did
Yeah,
not like the way he looked at all. And yeah, why with him calling him Chucky like didn't really make sense for the beginning because you don't know that any like you're supposed to look at this as like a remake, so there shouldn't be any backstory of why he would want to be called Chucky
yeah,
or anything like that, you know. But
exactly.
it did what it did do was make me feel bad for the doll when he's like, and I laughed at some of the parts where he's like repeating the curse words and shit like that. I was like, wow, that's actually kind of funny because I would do that same shit with you know, in the very early '90s, before my brother was born, my mom bought me one of those fucking My Pal robot toys when
Okay.
I was a kid because I didn't have any friends to go play with, and the shit fucking would repeat what you said and shit like that, and I would like make it say funny shit like that, and it was like it reminded me of that as a kid. But yeah, as far as if I'm gonna take it serious, I can't. At horror movies, I almost can't take serious. You know, it's like when you were talking about The Hitcher. I love the fucking original Hitcher movie.
Oh yeah.
When I went and saw the fucking remake, I was pissed.
Mm,
I was pissed
yeah.
to see the remake movie.
Yeah. That
So
original Hitcher is a movie that no one really talks about that much and just deserves so much recognition. Like to me, The Hitcher was basically remade in the form of Friday the 13th Part 6, where like if you watch those movies back to back, you'd be like, I just fucking watched the same movie back to back. It's the same sort of
yeah,
concept, all that kind of stuff, but like it's so good. And man, like I only discovered that movie like maybe a year or two ago and just fell in love with it and fell in love with like I'd known of Rutger Hauer, of course, but that movie just like made me like I loved him in Blade Runner, but I think he's better in The Hitcher. He's crazy, he's twisted. I love Pony Boy in that movie. Like I just love the whole situation.
hmm
It's twisted, man. It's so cool. So cool. And like
yeah,
hitchers, like hitchhikers, like when you see them, like when I before I'd seen that movie, I'd seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, of course, and was like, I'll never
hmm
pick up a hitchhiker. And then I see the Hitcher, and I'm like, okay, that is like the fucking coffin nail. I will, honest to God, even if it's like a pregnant nun, or like, oh, nun wouldn't be pregnant, but like a nun, like fucking flagging me down, I would leave her ass in the rainstorm. No, thank you. Same, even fucking Silent Night, Deadly Night. Santa Claus is like a hitchhiker, and what happens when they pick him
yep,
up? You know?
yep.
Damn.
And even in real life, the fucking the Zodiac killer, he fucking did the same exact thing. Pretend he was like, or maybe no, it was the other way around. The lady was she was broken down and she accepted help from some fucking guy on the side of the road. But yeah, it's shit like that. And the Hitcher I saw when I was really young. My dad showed me that when I was really young. And the part where he pulls the knife out and he's like holding it against his eye and he's like, just say it. I want to die. Just
Yeah.
say it. I was like, fuck. This is But as it gets on in the movie, where the fucking where he wakes up in the police station, all the cops are dead and shit. It's like
Yeah,
that's when it starts getting like it's almost like action movie in a way.
yeah, yeah.
And Rucker Hauer like shows up randomly when the cops are chasing him.
Yeah.
I thought that everything about that movie's fucking entertaining. I love that movie. And then you can understand. Did you see the fucking remake? The remake. I thought they got a good actor to play the Hitcher for the remake.
Wasn't it Sean?
What was the Dolph Lundgren?
Was it? I thought it was that Sean Bean guy.
I don't remember. Maybe Dolph Lundgren just was what I was hoping it was going to be.
Yeah.
But
I never did see
whoever
him.
it was for the remake, he looked the part. He looked like Rucker Hauer, but the remake, dude, is just like they take out like most of the good scenes of the movie, and the part at the end where the fucking girlfriend's torn apart by the fucking trucks, that part's not even in it.
Really?
Yeah, they cut that whole thing out.
Dude, you know what I was just reminded of? Another good early 2000s horror film was Joyride. Remember Joyride?
Joyride is fucking epic.
I love that movie. It's so good. That's like that's like the Paul Walker film. Like everyone's like Fast and Furious, which I'll admit, I'll be the first to admit, a guilty pleasure for me is Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift and Fast and
I've
Furious
only seen the
1.
first one.
Those two, the first one and the third one, that's all I need. But Paul Walker in Joyride with fucking what's his name? Totally forgettable, or not forgettable, but a guy that
comedian guy that's in fucking like he's the side character in every movie.
Yeah, like I don't know what happened to him, but that they're so good together, and it's such a good fucked up horror film, and it has like the guy from Silence of the Lambs doing the voice of like Rusty Nails, like
that's
such
Nails.
Yeah, like what a crazy
I
concept.
need some pink champagne.
Yeah, just like yeah, fuck man, and like how like one of the most disturbing scenes in that film, it doesn't even show anything. It's just them reacting to the trucker showing up to the hotel beside them, like the room beside him, and then he kills that or like rips the guy's jaw off or something, and then it shows him like in the hospital bed, like with no jaw. Like, god damn, that's brutal, man. It's fucking brutal. So it was like
that's a good one.
You could pair Joyride with Jeepers Creepers as a good double feature. Good early 2000s feature. Like, fuck, man.
Yeah, I agree.
What about
those are good movies.
Were you ever into Twilight Zone by chance?
Oh yeah, I watched that as a kid. Yeah.
I was
and the Outer Limits.
Yeah, Outer Limits is dope too, but recently I was kind of just watching some of the series from the 80s, and I stumbled upon this episode, and it was about it's Morgan Freeman, Emmett Walsh, and a couple of other guys that you'd probably recognize to see, and they're playing cards, and one of the guys playing cards at the table is the devil, and it's just like one of those, like the thing with Twilight Zone to me is there's so many good ones, but they're kind of like throwaway horror. It's almost like a pulp fiction-y kind of thing where like you read it once and then you throw it away, but like you get surprised once in a while and you're just like, man, this is so fucking good. Like they nailed it. Like in the 50s when they were making that first series of Twilight Zone, they covered like every possible aspect you could think of. And now, like when I watch Twilight Zone, there's so many times where I'm just like, wow, or I'll be watching a film and be like, wow, I seen a Twilight Zone kind of like this. Like they owe it to these old, like to the 50s, man. Like I think if you're a horror fan, you need to at least check out some of the Twilight Zone, some of the Outer Limits, because you'll get a better appreciation for this genre, because a lot of stuff has been done before,
Yeah, one Twilight Zone episode I remember was like the abusive dad and the mom buys the girl a fucking talking doll, right. And the talking doll hates the dad. It's like, I don't like you, I'll kill you. And the whole thing is like the dad trying to fucking get rid of this doll and fucking light it on fire or kill it in the garage or some shit. And the doll, it fucks up the dad a bunch of times in the movie and or in the show. And the funny thing is like that that exact segment's been redone over and over again. It's even in fucking Tales from the Crypt Keeper episodes from when it was the cartoon series. They fucking lifted it and redid the exact whole episode just like that. And I was like, wow, it's exactly the same. But it's stuff like that. Like, if we're talking about 50s horror, I could go into a lot of like shit about fucking Orson Welles and everything else like that, and Vincent Price's stuff also, when he was back before there was TV, when we're talking about fucking radio drama horror stuff, which I still listen to a lot today.
Well, that's one of the things. Like, people got to realize that the 50s it's known. A lot of people might know the 50s for, like, you know, your radioactive science fiction films, but you got to remember that was when the Hammer horror films were coming out. They were really experimenting with, you know, like, if it wasn't for the Hammer horror films, with, you know, showing chicks with their tits out, like, maybe not showing the full on tit, but like they were showing like they were breaking a lot of taboos, you know what I mean? And you got all those, like I said, the Hammer, like, for me, 50s, there's two genres of films that were born. That's the Hammer horror, and that's Godzilla. You know what I mean? Because Godzilla came out in like 54, and then you got like Peter Cushing coming on the scene, Vincent Price coming on the scene, and just like this explosion of quality films that are rarely talked about now. Like when you talk horror with people, it can go a few different ways. It can go like 80s, it can go modern, or it can go like, you know, everything before the 80s, like, i.e., like, you know, the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. But you kind of loop that in, because there's certain decades where like nothing good came out. You know what I mean? Like the 40s was like the only really good horror film that I can think of offhead is Wolfman. I think came out in the 40s, and I think maybe the first Creature from the Black Lagoon was the 40s, or maybe it was the early 50s. But then either way, you have these spells, like these dry spells, like even like the 90s. Like, there's not that many good horror films from the 90s. You know what I mean? There's like maybe like 20 that I could think of that are like go-to for me, but there's a lot of like, there's either none being made, or there's just shit being made, you know?
Yeah. A lot of shitty sequels too.
Yeah. Oh fuck, the sequel. Wow. The sequel count is unreachable, man. Like, there's so many fucking sequels to sequels that didn't need a sequel, man.
Yeah, like, think about like Children of the Corn. How many fucking sequels did that shit get?
Oh, dude, and they didn't fucking need any. The first one was pretty dope, pretty decent. Wasn't a fan of the monster at the end, like how it was just like this fucking cloud of whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, there's a good one for your question. That movie, The Funhouse, which is a Tobe Hooper. That would be a good sequel, or you could like remake that or give a sequel to that, because it's, you know, twisted hick fucking people. It's trippy shit, man. Hick people are scary.
You know, like, I think this is gonna be my last question for you for this podcast episode, but I have an answer for myself already. But what would you think is a horror movie that you can keep redoing over and over and over, because it's such a timeless idea, and it can be reused no matter like when it first came out or in modern times now? It can be redone over and over because it's such a good idea, but at the same time, because how the world changes, it can be redone over and over again and always feel fresh and new. Do you have an idea for that?
I would say possibly Night of the Living Dead. I might have to say Night of the Living Dead.
That's a really good answer. I would say Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Okay.
You can fucking redo that idea over and over and over, because you look at the original, really fucking great. You look at the one that came out in the 70s, or maybe it was the early 80s, really fucking good. The one that came out in the 90s, really fucking good. And then the one that they even did in the 2000s, I thought the early 2000s was fucking good. And I've never been disappointed by those. I think if you just keep reusing that idea, fuck, you've got like a whole slew of shit you can do for those fucking films, because technology is always changing. The plot's always going to stay the same. There's some fucking weird alien pods that want our planet to make it more peaceful, and they fucking think humans are the worst thing ever. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
I agree. I think to give a little explanation of why I chose Nightmare on Elm Street or Night of the Living Dead is because I just feel like it has been remade time and time again. Like it literally was remade in the 90s. Tom Savini directed it. You had movies like 28 Days Later. You had movies like the remake of Dawn of the Dead. Like it keeps getting, it can keep being remade. And even now, like there hasn't really been one where like it's the cell phone era where everyone's like glued to a cell phone. Like now, if like
Hmm.
the cell phones went out, people would be fucked, you know. And if zombie
Yeah.
shit happened and it took out like the internet, like it would be crazy, man. So here's where we'll end the podcast. Here's the main question I have for you. Okay, if you, and maybe I've asked this before, but who the fuck knows? What advice would you give to an up and coming VHS collector, if any?
Oh boy. Um, if this was pre-pandemic, it would have been easier. But uh, I would say don't pay retail would be the biggest thing. Retail meaning if I would assume if you're going to collect horror movies or VHS movies of horror movies or games or whatever, you want to research things before or get into the know before you start just buying things because I think I can attest to this. You could probably attest to this. There have been times where we've been burned on things that we've bought where we either paid too much for it or it was overhyped to a point where I didn't even kind of look into it. I just bought it because of name recognition.
Yeah,
Um, you need to know your tastes and you need to do your research. You do not want to be going out and being that guy who's like, oh, Curtains must be a really fucking good movie because it's really fucking expensive. No, it's fucking not.
yeah,
So don't go out and pay fucking $80 for Curtains. These tapes, all this shit that I have in my office, this whole fucking all this shit in here that I've shown in videos and everything like that. Sorry, I fucked the audio up for a second, but this is over years and years and years of collecting. I did not amass all this shit in one fucking year, not 2 fucking years. I'm talking about years.
yeah,
And you need to brace yourself. You need to be patient. If you have expendable income up your fucking ass, like your fucking PewDiePie, like I said, I guess it doesn't fucking matter. I'm not going to tell anyone how to spend their money, but if it's an average Joe like me or you want to be able to get the most bang for your buck, and you need to know your tastes. You need to know what you want. Don't just go out and buy shit because you think it's fucking name brand and you're going to be getting some sort of recognition. No one here fucking, like me and you, we don't collect this shit. I was doing this shit way before the fucking internet was around,
mm,
and a lot of the shit I had from when I was a kid. So it's not for recognition. I'm not having people come over here to fucking gawk in my office. This is just shit that I like that I'm sitting in here most of the time by myself drinking beer, sitting here I'm like, man, this shit's fucking neat. Like that's most of the time that's what's the reality. This isn't a fucking like look at me kind of thing. And if you're getting into it for that reason, then you're really getting into it for the wrong reason.
yeah,
If you want to make friends with people and get to know people where it's like getting recommendations for movies and you like that shit, then buy it. But don't get into it for the wrong reasons. No, do your research. Don't over fucking pay for movies. Maybe watch the movie first, which is very easy to do now with streaming media. And then
yeah.
if you like it, buy it. Don't buy it on fucking name alone.
Yeah,
So
because
I think that's
that'll
what I
only
can say.
go as far as you make it go for you, right? Like it's not going to be like, okay, you want to amass this huge fucking collection in a couple of months, and then like people aren't going to flock to you and be like, wow, like you're the man. You know, it's not how it
Hmm.
happens. So if you're getting into it for that, maybe it's only going to go as far as that goes for you, man. So I think like we'll end this episode of VHS Graveyard with a quote, and that is collect what you love and love what you collect. You know what I mean? Because if
Yeah.
you don't love this stuff, like clearly we're passionate about this shit. You know, if we just amass this shit in like over the course of a year, how much conversation could we have? It's like, well, I have this, and I have this, and I have this, and it's just gonna look like a fucking haul video. Like there's gonna be no substance. So definitely invest in the shit that you love, and like you said, do fucking research. Don't just go out there blindly and buy everything just to have a huge collection, because you will end up throwing it out, or because you won't be able to sell it because no one's buying shit.
Right.
Like no one's gonna buy garbage off you. So, just like I said, man, love what you collect and collect what you love, because other than that, you're just gonna be disappointed, man. So, anyways,
Yeah.
with that being said, that was episode 2 of the VHS Graveyard, and we appreciate everybody for stopping by, watching, and stay tuned for episode 3, which will hopefully be coming sooner than later. We'll try to get this one recorded, like maybe like even by like next week or something, and have it out for you guys to watch, because we want to make this a thing, especially like now, like lockdown. It's kind of like, why the fuck not, and I've enjoyed this last like 2 hours chatting with you, man. It's been good.
Me too.
Yeah,
it's nice to be able, like, I think the beauty between this podcast that I get to do with you and the podcast I get to do with my friend Brett is I get the best of both worlds. I get a guy that loves this shit as much as I do, and we could probably go on and do a fucking 10-hour podcast most likely if we wanted to sit here and do that.
Yeah.
And then I get the other side where it's like someone that's, they don't know, they could know David Cronenberg from fucking, Stan Lee for all they fucking know. You know what I mean? They just don't know. And it's a good balance, I think, to see the two things, because me and you, being the way we are and the shit that we like, have like this nostalgia filled rose tinted glasses, I think, when it comes to horror in some ways.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really, really enjoy it, and I do want to do this with you. Hopefully, if we can do it, I'm fine with doing it weekly, but if we need to do it bi-weekly, we can too. That's fine with me. So
yeah, fuck yeah, man. We'll definitely figure out a schedule, man. But anyways, thanks for listening, everybody, and stay tuned for episode 3.
Later.